How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store is running a bunch of sales right now. Mega March, games under $20, and PlayStation Indies. In this video, I want to take a look at some deals under $5 across the newly launched store sales, the games under $20 sale, as well as the Mega March sale. We don't have 10 games here. I think we have about 9, so still some pretty solid options across the board, so let's get right into it. First up, let's start with Flying Wild Hog Shadow Warrior 1. This is down to $4.49 for PlayStation Plus subscribers. I really enjoyed Shadow Warrior 1. I do think Shadow Warrior 2 is the stronger game. That is not on sale right now. Shadow Warrior 3 just dropped, however, that game is definitely not worth full price of admission just because of how short it is. Down the line, when it's around this price, it'll probably be worth it, but Shadow Warrior is a very slick action title. It's got some bloody gameplay, so go into it expecting that, but it's a very stylish game. The gameplay is incredibly satisfying, and at $4.49, yeah, it's not the lengthiest game in the world, but you're only paying $4.50, so I think this is a pretty good pickup, especially at this price. Pretty decent story here as well, but you're getting into Shadow Warrior for the gameplay, in my opinion. Next up, we have Metal Gear Solid 5, The Definitive Experience. This might be the best sale across, I don't know, a bunch of sales that Sony has ran recently. 80% off for $3.99. Look, I know most of you guys probably have Metal Gear Solid 5 by this point, but if you don't, this is a fantastic deal. $4, you got Metal Gear Solid 5, you got Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, and a bunch of additional DLC content. For $4, that's ridiculous. That's a ton of content for your money. I know MGS5 had its fair share of controversy when it released back in September of 2015. However, we're pretty much removed from that, and let's assess MGS5 as what it is, a pretty great open-world action stealth title. There's quite a bit of content here. If you're looking to do everything, that'll keep you busy for quite a while. The narrative is obviously told differently than the majority of Metal Gear titles. You don't have lengthy cutscenes in this game. A lot of the narrative is told through the use of audio cassette tapes. I thought it was pretty well done, and I thought the gameplay was complemented by the open world. A lot of games, you know, they shift into an open world, and sometimes that takes away from the gameplay. I actually thought it enhanced Metal Gear Solid's gameplay as a whole. For $4, I think this is a great pickup, and I would highly recommend it. Next up, we have Darksiders Warmastered Edition, 80% off for $3.99. Very interesting game. I believe came out back in January of 2010, very early on in 2010. This is a game that, unfortunately, some people compared it to The Legend of Zelda crossed with God of War. I remember that being some of the rhetoric when this game came out back in the day. I was like super young, and that still sticks out to me. I was probably like 15, 16 years old back then, but yeah, comparing it to God of War and The Legend of Zelda is not doing this game a service because it's not at that level. It's a good notch or two below the God of Wars and The Legend of Zeldas of the world, but it's still a fairly good game. It's got some interesting puzzles. The gameplay is satisfying. The story is pretty interesting. It does show its age. Of course, it came out back in 2010, and it's not like this edition is reinventing the wheel or anything like that, but for $4, I think this is a pretty good pickup. Relatively decent in length as well. Should note, it is included with PlayStation Now, so if you'd prefer to play it that way, that's an option as well, but $4 I thought was a very good deal. Next up, we have Castlevania, Requiem, Symphony of Night, and Rondo of Blood. This is a great price, man. 80% off for $4. Really, I'm recommending this off the price alone. Symphony of the Night is obviously considered to be one of the best games, dare I say, all time. I mean, people think incredibly highly of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It is a game that has just stood the test of time, and one of those games that, you know, people look back at incredibly fondly, and if you're into your Castlevania-style games, I mean, a lot of games have adopted elements from your Symphony of the Nights of the world, and yeah, having that just for $4 is great, but you get Rondo of Blood here as well, which is quite nice to see in this collection. $4 for both of them, I think, is a pretty solid pickup. Obviously, they're PlayStation 1 games at the end of the day, or in the case of Rondo of Blood, I believe it was, it was on PSP through, I believe, that Dracula X Chronicles or something, but it came out on a platform even earlier than that. The games show their age, just be aware of that, but yeah, this collection for $4 is just a great pickup, would highly recommend it. Next up, we have XCOM 2, 95% off for $3. Look, I usually recommend XCOM 2 collection, and 9 out of 10 times, I wouldn't recommend the base game. But bro, it's $3. Like, that is crazy for XCOM 2. Yeah, War of the Chosen does add quite a bit, but to get the base game for $3, man, this is a great tactics-based game that unfortunately does have some technical issues on consoles, performance issues at that. It had some performance issues on PC when it initially came out. The game itself is incredibly rewarding, though, and I'm not big on tactics games. Honestly, I'm garbage at these style of games. I'm garbage at strategy, RPGs, and tactical games in general, but XCOM 2 was one that I really enjoyed, and I can usually enjoy tactics titles if they're well made, but doesn't change the fact that I'm absolutely friggin' terrible at them, and XCOM 2 was no different. I was friggin' terrible at it, but I still enjoyed it quite a bit. $3, also available through PlayStation Now. Next up, let's recommend a couple of Ubisoft titles that were new IPs from Ubisoft. Child of Light, 70% off for $4.49. A very colorful, charming RPG here. It's definitely not like a mechanically super in-depth RPG or anything like that. This is just an incredibly charming game that anybody of any age can really get into. It's got a magical story, a very charming story, and something that, again, whether you're 45 or 25, you can, I think, find some enjoyment out of Child of Light, or 15. I think you can just find some enjoyment out of the game. It's a very enjoyable RPG that has a fantastic art style that has just aged tremendously well, and I'd like to see Ubisoft put out more games like this, but who knows, maybe they just don't do commercially well enough to justify Ubisoft continually to do them, but I thought this was fairly good. $4.49 for it, I think, is a great pickup as well. There is an Ultimate Edition available for $9. You can check that out as well. Next up, we have another Ubisoft IP, or a new IP that was released a few years ago, and that was Valiant Hearts: The Great War. This is another one that the people that played it absolutely loved it. It has an overwhelmingly positive reception on Steam, 18,000 reviews, and 95% of those reviews are positive. That's usually reserved for the absolute elite category of games, but Valiant Hearts: The Great War is a very emotional story, and another game that just has an art style that has aged incredibly well. You have a quality war story here. You have some action elements. You have some puzzles in there as well, which I wasn't as hot about. But yeah, this is one that's just an incredibly colorful and emotional game. I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit, especially at this price at $4.49. Solid pickup there. Next up, we have Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number, 80% off for $2.99. I mean, Hotline Miami, I feel like, is a game that anybody can really enjoy. Yes, it's challenging at times. Yes, maybe the art style isn't for everyone, but I think if you're remotely into retro games, you can appreciate the aesthetic of Hotline Miami, and it is obviously incredibly bloody. It's incredibly action-packed. $3 for it is pretty good. Hotline Miami, the collection, is $4.99. I actually think buying the game separately is the same price. Hotline Miami 1, I believe, is $1.99 right now as well. So yeah, you can buy them separately, you can buy the collection, whatever you want to do. They're pretty solid titles. Lastly, do want to give a shout to Agents of Mayhem, 85% off for $3. Now, let's not get it twisted. This isn't a fantastic game. It actually was a disappointment to a lot of people because it was done by Volition, the same studio that does Saints Row, and Agents of Mayhem is a bit different than Saints Row. It's a very quirky title, very comedic in nature, and it's definitely not among the top tier open world titles. I wouldn't even put it among tier 2 open world titles. However, there is a charm and a fun factor to Agents of Mayhem that I think at $3, it's a worthwhile playthrough. Obviously, if you have a deep backlog, is this the type of game you add at the end of your backlog when you have a billion other games to play? Probably not, but if you want to look for a fun, comedic, open world action adventure title, I think Agents of Mayhem is a pretty decent one. The writing is pretty interesting as well. I think some people will hate it. I think some people will love it. I thought it was pretty hilarious. You know, you just have to go into it expecting a pretty freaking corny game, and you're gonna get that out of Agents of Mayhem. Is it at the level of the top Saints Row titles? No, it's a little bit different than your Saints Row games, but it's still a pretty comedic open world title that I think a lot of people can find enjoyment out of. But that's gonna do it for me. Again, quite a few deals under $5 here. The indie sale also has a ton of deals under $5. Look, that sale is ending later this week. I'm gonna try to hit it, but that sale is just so daunting because there's like a billion pages to go through, and I think I got to like page 17 and I was like, I need to go to bed. But nevertheless, these sales that just started, they're pretty good as well. I'm sure after the indie sale wraps up, there's going to be another sale coming. You guys know how it is. Look, we're already in March. It's been 3 months into the year. Another 3 months, we're going to have Days of Play as well. We're going to have the summer sale. We're going to have all that stuff going on as well. There's going to be a lot to look forward to from a deal standpoint. So if you don't pick anything up now, no sweat. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming, as I'm sure you guys know. And there's not a lot of big games coming out over the course of the next couple of months. Maybe there's going to be some titles that you want to pick up, but it's not going to be like February, March, where you just had big release after big release every week. It's going to be a little bit quieter of a period, and it'll be an opportunity for you to pick up some older titles, tackle the backlog. You don't want to amass too many games in that backlog, and go from there as we, head into the midst of the summer, and then ultimately in the fall, I think things are really going to start picking up. But that's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.